back to Fruitful Minutes. This is another special edition. We're joined today again by Sarah Burden with LifeSeasons. Hi, Sarah.
Hi. Hello.
How are you doing?
Doing okay. Our family's adapting to this quarantine life and trying to manage, my daughter's e-learning requirements plus my job and my husband's job. So, we're getting through it, but it's a trick.
Right, right. It's definitely everybody's going through some different challenges right now. I know a lot of people are trying to adapt, and a lot of people are experiencing things that, like e-learning at home for everybody, that is a big shift for a lot of people. Having to do a job on top of e-learning. There's a lot on everybody's plate, and everybody, I think, is undergoing some different kind of stressors
Hmm.
as of late, and I thought it was good for us to talk about stress and ways to support our body through stressful times because with all the uncertainty and we just don't know what's coming and how things are going to change, and literally we're just trying to take it day by day ourselves here, and take one thing at a time. And I hope everybody is staying happy and healthy, but it's also good to talk about supporting stress through these times.
Even if somebody's particular situation is workable and fine, they're probably worried about family members who might be more vulnerable, things like that. So, absolutely, I think every one of us worldwide is dealing with more stress right now. And luckily, in addition to lifestyle things that we can adopt, right, taking time for meditation and reflection, getting good night's sleep, being hydrated, you know, eating good quality foods, getting to bed still and waking up still at a regular time, all of those things will help, physically. But then there are also things we can do in terms of supplements to help manage our body's reaction to internal and external stress. So I'm happy to talk about those things with you today.
And I think it's good for people to know. So I do when I lecture in the stores, or when I was lecturing in the stores, typically actually like this month I was supposed to be talking about stress. So I
Mm.
do a whole hour-long lecture on stress because it's something that affects every single system in the body if we are not actually addressing it. And the body responds the same to positive stressors as it does
Mm.
what we deem like negative stressors. Your body cannot tell the difference. So even if, like right before all this stuff, I had a big things changing in my life, all for the positive, but my body still went through the classic fight or flight response. And it was very surreal for me from a personal standpoint, because I was like, my body is freaking out. My brain is okay because all these changes are good. So like I got to, from a different perspective, watch like all the crazy that was happening in my body and was like, I need to support my body through this time of stress, even though it's all really good things for me.
That is such a good point. And I've had that experience too, where I was working with an acupuncturist and she kept asking me questions about my level of stress over and over on my intake evaluation and then in our appointment. And I was like, I hear the way you're going with this, and I'm promising you, I'm not a stressed out person. And as she was feeling my pulses and looking at my tongue and everything, she said, "That's funny because your body thinks that you're stressed." And that was like a
Exactly.
game changing statement to hear that your brain and your body can be perceiving stress in two totally different ways, which is what you just went through. And that is a perfect segue into describing the difference between two formulas that Life Seasons makes for stress. So
Yeah.
we have our formulas for sort of the mental effects of stress and the physical effects of stress. And so I don't know if we want to do a quick recap about who Life Seasons is as a company before we dive in.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Life Seasons has been around about 10 years. We were started by a guy named Darren Peterson who ran a health food store in Texas, and it was a very similar vibe in his store to the Fruitful Yield. You'd go in, people would remember you, they'd help you find the solutions that worked best for you, for your family. And he served a lot of families at that store, and he saw over time which ingredients were really working and which weren't, and people would come back and say, that UTI still hasn't cleared up. So then they would try different combinations of things. And he also heard feedback about what people didn't want in their supplements, like magnesium stearate or gluten or corn. And so he was always filing this away. So then he created Life Seasons, and it's been around about 10 years. And each formula is made to target a specific condition or everyday health concern that people have. And Darren's goal was to put anything and everything from nature, whether it was a traditional, Chinese medicine principle or Ayurvedic principle, herbs, minerals, enzymes, vitamins, whatever would be appropriate to help that body get back into balance to do the things that, our bodies are already prepared to do. And so that's Life Seasons. So we use traditional ingredients at scientifically validated doses. So sort of marrying the best of what's traditional and the progress of science.
Which is a big deal, right? Because a lot of people look at maybe blended products and they get a little skeptical. They think maybe, oh, there's so many ingredients, or maybe there's not so many ingredients, or it's a proprietary blend and you don't know how much you're getting. The thing that I like about Life Seasons is that even though they are blends, and I actually like blended products typically for myself, especially. But again, there is a substantial dose of each ingredient to actually notice an effect. It's not like 5 little measly milligrams of something and you guys put it in there so you call it out that you're putting it in there. You guys put a punch in your dosage. So I always appreciate that.
That's awesome. Well, and I think that's why, even though I'd been working in the supplement world for about 15 years when I started with Life Seasons, when I started taking the Life Seasons products, I was really amazed. And actually, this was one of the first, the anxiety that I had a really profound experience with just, 15 to 20 minutes after taking it. I felt this sense of not overly relaxed, not checked out or sedated, which can happen to me sometimes from stress formulas. I don't know if you get that too, where I'm just like too checked out, right? This made me feel like, what were you worried about? You can handle whatever the world presents you today. And that for me is the best possible feeling to get through the day.
And I think it's nice to know that like there are two different approaches to
Hmm.
stress depending on what symptoms a person is feeling.
Yes.
Right? So for more stressful things, I'll be honest because I've been dealing with stress for a really long time. I went through grad school, I did my post doctorate work while I was doing my doctorate work, and I maintained a job. Somehow that was a thing, right? Like so now when I work I know, so when I work 6 to 7 days a week still, people are like, how are you not burnt out? And I'm much more of like, you gravitate toward the anxiety. I am much more of like, I need to support my adrenal glands because I
Yes.
get so exhausted.
Yes.
Even though I get fantastic sleep and I prioritize my sleep, and it is a very big deal to maintain my health. Because if I do not get good sleep, I am a very moody type of person, right? So then I would gravitate towards this if I'm not getting sleep. But I definitely like the adrenal tea is much more something that I gravitate for.
Well, and what's funny is I actually take both every day. So you can do that too. So because they really are, there's a little bit of overlap with some of the ingredients, but we're not getting into an area where we'd be concerned about having too much of these ingredients. But anxiety, you can think of as really being about the mental effects of stress. So someone who, when they're under stress, experiences maybe a busy brain or a lot of that mental chatter. Sometimes people call it the monkey mind, that spinning, the circular thinking, where you can't even get started with a project that day because maybe your perfectionism is kicking in, and so you can't get started until you can do it perfectly. Do you remember that book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie? Like when I have those days where I'm like, oh, there's that half folded stack of laundry. Oh, there's my cold cup of green tea. Oh, and there I was repotting that plant. When I'm kind of that scatterbrained, those are also things that anxiety really helps me with. Worrying thoughts that are no longer productive, right? So the mental effects of stress is really what anxiety is going to help quiet down, along with providing that sense of calm confidence. There was a clinical study done on a combination of ingredients that's used here. It's a 2-to-1 ratio of L-theanine to kava kava. What's so interesting about natural ingredients, this is what I love about what the science shows about these ingredients, is L-theanine we think of as being something that calms us down. Kava kava really calms us down. And when we combine them in this specific ratio, 2-to-1, you might think, well, then you'd get doubly relaxed and blissed out, right? No, they make you feel like, I got this.
Right, which is awesome. And I don't think people realize that one, that there's clinical research in a lot of supplements or the ingredients and the dosage, and even on the anxiety formula, you guys are using a clinically studied form of ashwagandha in here. people can go look up the clinical research when they see stuff like that and see all the health benefits of that specific ingredient. And I know that ashwagandha at different dosages has been shown to do different things, right? So it's really cool to see that stuff. But even the combined effect of these things, that there is some research into these things and that it is creating a different response. And it is funny because I do really enjoy L-theanine by itself a lot. So this is probably a formula that I actually would like. Um,
I want you to give it another shot.
I know. I just haven't ventured into this one as much.
Well, so this is my $1 million combo. So it's so funny that we're talking about this today. So for me, my natural body rhythms, I wake up with energy, and I wake up in a good mood, but my brain can get busy. And then after lunch, my energy level just no matter what I eat, no matter how balanced I am, my just natural body rhythm is I'm not a late night person. I love to be in bed at like 8:30 at night with a book. That would be my ideal, right? And it just doesn't happen. I've got a busy life. So what I love, my formula is anxiety in the morning because that gets me set. It's like somebody clears the desk of my brain and makes priority piles for me. And I know exactly what to do next. It gives me this sense of just calm and focused, clear energy, so I love anxiety first thing in the morning, and then I like to take adrenal tea at lunchtime because if I take it too late in the day, it's extremely energizing. Even though it isn't a caffeine product, it's, as you have felt, it's so energizing, right?
Right. And some of the ingredients in there. So it's funny because I find there are supplements that I love and I can feel the difference right away. And then I go look at the ingredient list and like the herb that always calls my name is rhodiola.
It's your herb.
Right?
It's your
It's
herb
my
friend.
herb. It has, like I have any kind of formula I've ever tried that has rhodiola. I'm like, God, I really love this formula. There's rhodiola in it. Right? Like, so it's
Good for you.
definitely, but it is when you look at the herb's actions, is an adaptogen. So it is helping your body adapt to stress, but it is more of a motivating,
Mhm.
energizing herb. So I typically do rhodiola in the morning, especially if I'm trying to avoid caffeine, because it
Yeah.
does help support my energy, which is typically why I'm doing a boatload of coffee, right? And this is when I kind of have to like check myself. If I'm hitting the snooze a lot and I get a lot of good sleep, so I shouldn't be hitting the snooze. And then I'm trying to drink like a gallon, like if this is my coffee for the day, that's when it's like, that's not what I should be doing. I'm
Right.
really taxing my adrenals. I'm clearly under stress. We need to back off. I need to swap out my coffee for my rhodiola.
Yeah.
We need to kind of like recheck some things.
Yes, yes. Well, and you're absolutely right. So different people have different body rhythms, right? And so my husband, maybe it's a little bit more like you, like mornings are not his favorite time of day. He would love to be able to stay in bed just a little longer, have a gentle wake up, maybe start speaking to humans around 10:30, 10:45, right? Like that would be his ideal body rhythm. And he naturally can stay up later. So he likes his adrenal tea in the morning. So just like you do. So what I think is great for your viewers to know is you can use both of these when you need them, when you do want your energy burst, and when you do need that clarity of, quieting the mental chatter. So I love them together. I feel like $1 million when I take them together because this adrenal tea gives me the energy that then after dinner, I'm more likely to throw in a load of laundry or go, on a bike ride with my family, something like that, where when I don't take it, I am too pooped to party by that point of the night. Always, I cannot, So I really feel that energizing effect, and I think rhodiola is one of them. One of my favorite little stories about rhodiola, which I'm sure you know since it's your beloved herb, but maybe your viewers don't know, is that when the Soviet teams started to really be a force to be reckoned with in the 70s in the Olympic Games. They went from never getting onto the stand, never getting, bronze, silver, or gold, and then all of a sudden they were crushing it in all of these track and field events. And it turned out that their trainers had been giving them rhodiola
I did
because
not know
oh,
this.
it's such a good, I love that story. And everyone around the world was like, what? And then there were books that were out, like Rhodiola, the Siberian Miracle. And because that little herb grows up in Siberia in like the most inhospitable climate, right? It's like having to struggle to like get to the sun and get enough oxygen, and there's not enough light or moisture or anything, so it has to struggle so hard in a really stressful environment. So the plant is producing all kinds of compounds to deal with that stress. And then when we consume that plant, we get all those compounds that it's made to deal with stress.
Right? Plants are the coolest.
Yeah.
So
I
the
love
one ingredient that I see that overlaps between the two is maybe the ashwagandha.
Yep, that's right. And so with the ratio that we've got in the two of them, you're still absolutely in a safe range. You're in a place where you're going to be getting support for your adrenal glands and your body's response to stress, both physical and mental. You're going to have some really nice results from that. So I love it together.
Which is nice. And I like that you like even though you're doing them together, you're doing one at a different time.
Different times a day.
Right.
Yes.
Which is really cool. And yeah, everybody's body is different. You got to listen to what's calling out to you. And again, on your packaging, you guys do a really good job of calling out, like these symptoms that really identify with which formula would be better for what
Mm-hmm.
circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really cool because you can do both. You might need both. I tend to be an adrenal rundown person versus like the
This like
anxiety
peaceful
formula
chatter.
person. Yeah, but now that you say that, there are certain things that I should be utilizing this formula on certain days,
Yes.
um, because I do feel like squirrel, like oh I got 20, I got 20,000 things, and then it's hard for me to start in on those things because I'm like,
Yes.
oh, but what about this and what about that, and
Yes.
like
You're
it's
overthinking.
all over the place.
Mhm.
So
If you get that hamster wheel, that is what anxiety is good for. And a lot of people ask, then can I take this right at bedtime? And absolutely, you can. So anxiety can be taken morning, noon, night, afternoon, right before your kids come home from after school care in the future when that is happening again. But some people say, you know what, really, I'm happy as a clam all day long, but the second my head hits my pillow, that's when the busy brain starts. So there are some people who love it at bedtime. So even though the formula isn't a sedative formula, it quiets that mental chatter that's causing the problem for people.
which is a big deal. So even when people come in to the store saying anything about they're not having good sleep, I'm always like, are you having a problem falling asleep or staying asleep? And if it's falling asleep, are you laying in bed spinning the wheels? Because there are different things for that. And it is, again, it's a form of like to reset your sleep cycle. Sometimes you do have to go back to adrenal gland function and how your body is managing stress. So they all
Mm-hmm.
go hand in hand. But a lot of people cannot shut the brain off, and they're like, I'm fine throughout the day as long as I'm busy, and then I'm by myself, and then it just won't shut up, and it's about nothing.
Really loud. Yeah, yeah. Reliving awkward third grade moments, reliving, right? You name it. I am there. I'm right there with it. So anxiety, you can take morning, noon, or night, whenever you would like to. Adrenal tea, I would say you can do morning or noon, unless you're doing shift work. Expect to have a lot of energy for like 6 to 8 hours after you're serving. So time it strategically with when you would like to get to bed. For me, if I take this at like 3 o'clock is my cutoff. I can't do it really at 3 o'clock or later because otherwise I'm like scrubbing the kitchen cabinets and my husband is like, you have to go to bed at midnight. So,
Right. And I do, like I warned friends when working with adrenal support stuff. I said, listen, most adrenal formulas are going to be energizing. Some of those herbs are really energizing until you know how you feel on it. Don't take an adrenal formula past 2 in the afternoon because you
yes.
might throw off your sleep cycle. And one of
Right.
my very good friends was texting me very frantically at 1:30 in the morning. Oh my God, you weren't lying. Da 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 da. And I said, when did you take your adrenal stuff? She's like, well, I forgot it in the afternoon early when you said, so I took it at like 4 or 5. And I was like, and then I was really productive, but now I can't sleep. And I'm like, this is
Yep.
why we do it
Yep.
early day, because that's when your adrenal glands are most active. They're most
Right.
active right in the morning when you're waking up. That's when they should be shooting out cortisol to wake you up. And then
Yeah.
they should taper off as the day goes on. So if you're trying to spike your adrenal glands too late in the day, you are effectively trying to wake your body back up.
Right.
It's
Right.
counterproductive.
Yep. So noontime is just perfect for me. Then I don't have that after lunch crash in energy. I'm a nicer mommy when I take it at lunchtime because then I'm not like, okay, how about we play that I'm the sleeping princess and you are the dragon? You know what I mean? Like I can actively participate instead of just passively passing out on the couch. So yeah, those are the two. I love those for every day. And then we have another formula that sort of deals with the aspects that get more into like mood and feeling blue, feeling gloomy, feeling kind of those kinds of emotional feelings that people can get into. And that one is mood stability. So, from your experience and all of your expertise, what do you see that's unique when you look at this formula?
All right, so one, I see rhodiola because again, my body is just like, whoa, it zooms in
Your
on it.
favorite.
I know. And again, I like with your packaging, you guys call out right on the front some of the key ingredients. It's not all your ingredients typically, but some of the really big key ones. So there is saffron,
Mhm.
vitamin D in here, which is awesome, but saffron's one of the big ones that calls out to me.
Mhm. And there's some really neat research on saffron. It's been used in the Middle East for, centuries. But saffron is, the most expensive spice. I just was reading about how many hand harvested stamens you need to get. I mean, it's $5,000 a pound for the spice. But it's something like 200,000 of the special kinds of orchids or irises that they have to pull the stems out of to have like a pound. I mean, it's unbelievable how labor intensive it is. So we know it is the most expensive cooking spice, but it has
Mhm.
medicinal benefits too. And there have been a lot of great studies around saffron for mood. And you can think of that kind of sunny, like you've got all these beautiful yellow colors behind you, and saffron is that beautiful yellow color. And between D3 and saffron, this is really going to make you have that sunshiny feeling from the inside, which we are all trapped inside right now. It's snowing again in Illinois for some reason. So we are not
I didn't
able,
want to talk about it
we're
because
not able to
I
get
didn't
out.
take my mood stability to be able
Exactly.
to discuss it
Yes,
without
yes.
getting upset.
Right. Right. We're not able to get out and get as much sunshine right now as we would like to. We're not able to do those, long walks at Navy Pier or whatever we would like to do to be getting some sunshine. And so mood stability, I think, is great for Midwesterners every time it's winter. If you deal with that sort of seasonal challenge, mood stability is a great one. And now more than ever, because we can't even do the normal things that we would do to manage that, like the seasonal fatigue and gloom that we can all feel.
Yeah, and then I'm reading your package, and on the back it says promotes proper blood flow, transporting oxygen and nutrients throughout the body. So what
Yes.
ingredients are doing that?
Well,
Oh,
ginkgo, yeah, you spotted it
oh
really
my goodness,
quickly.
yeah, ginkgo.
Ginkgo is helping with that, and it's a full therapeutic clinical dose of ginkgo in here. And so that's one of the things that, like you said before, really makes Life Seasons special is if you were purchasing different products from around a health food store, you would be buying, maybe 150 milligrams of L-theanine, 120 is that classic dose for a therapeutic dose of ginkgo, 100 milligrams of rhodiola. And then all these B vitamins. So you could be buying a B complex and an L-theanine and a ginkgo and a 5-HTP and a saffron, right?
Right.
Or just get them all together and it's a 2 capsule a day formula. So it makes it a lot more convenient, which then frees budget up to maybe buy some of those healthier foods or replace your water filter system. And, so take advantage of some of those other things that can promote more stability with our emotions too.
And I will say, so saffron shows up in a few different like categories in our store. We have it in mood supportive things. We also have it in our like diet and weight loss formulas because saffron helps support serotonin in the body. And a lot of people who are emotional eaters are typically eating when they're not happy and they typically crave carbohydrates, right? So like it actually has been very helpful for people in curbing like emotional eating behaviors as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of people don't really correlate a lot of that stuff to being part of the stress response, right? And it very much ties back to how is your body personally managing and dealing with this stuff.
Yeah. It's a really good point. And I've been one of those people too, where in the past, I absolutely turned to sugar and carbs and those kinds of things to try to balance my mood. And I didn't even know how unpredictable my moods were because I was sort of like self-medicating, right? And so I had no idea until I tried to put it down and I was like, oh.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yep. Sugar is an addictive drug-like substance, and a lot of people
Absolutely.
are self-medicate. And it's funny that people don't associate carbohydrates with sugar directly, right? Because I meet people who are like, I'm not eating my feelings because I'm not eating sugar. And I'm like,
Yeah.
the loaf of bread we had today was like maybe counterproductive, and that all turns into
Exactly.
sugar. Right? So like just
Exactly.
because you don't have a sweet craving per se, maybe you
Right.
crave the salty stuff and it's the pretzels, but like if you eat the whole bag,
Right.
very carb heavy and it all turns into sugar anyway. So
Absolutely.
like
Same thing with alcohol, right? Same thing with alcohol. So it's absolutely these other things that we think of as being associated with managing mood, an attempt to manage mood. And we know that there are side effects to those things, and that using too much of them, we're going to have other health challenges. So we can try to go and correct the source. Like I'm eating 3 sleeves of saltines in an attempt to have enough serotonin, or I could take this ancient spice that can help improve my serotonin and
I
leave
will
three
say
sleeves of
I'm
saltines.
much more likely to take anything with saffron in a supplement form
Yeah.
because I have had it as a spice and to me it is very soapy.
Interesting.
And I have read where like people who have a hard time with saffron and cilantro, it's
Yeah.
a specific enzyme deficiency where your body isn't producing the enzyme to break it down. So for me, it tastes like soap. For other people, they're like, "Oh my God, saffron, it's the best." And I'm like,
Gorgeous exotic spice and not for you. So you probably don't like this
oddly enough, I
either.
didn't like cilantro in the beginning. Now I like cilantro.
And you came to peace with the soapy taste.
Yeah, it doesn't taste soapy to me. Saffron absolutely just
Well done.
tastes like somebody poured dish soap.
Sounds delish.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I know it's this very, like, very expensive, highly coveted,
Right.
those little thin threads. They are very expensive. For tons of people, that's not a thing. But in a supplement form, I don't have to taste anything.
Right. This is for you, like with your salmon oil. We're gonna just cut out the middleman and we're gonna go right to a supplement for you. And then it's gonna work.
Exactly. Soap, not my friend.
So, another category that affects mood that definitely people don't always think of, and this is going to sound maybe a little bit more esoteric, maybe a little bit more off the beaten path, but stick with me because I have personal experience with this. So, in traditional Chinese medicine thinking, the liver is the seat of anger. And so we can think about sort of stereotypes, maybe from old movies of like an angry person with like, like a really furrowed brow, right? And in Chinese medicine, they would say, yes, absolutely, this is something we can diagnose even from the face, because in Chinese medicine, this is liver. So these lines and breaking out right here are indications that maybe our liver isn't happy. And they would say also emotionally, being too hot tempered, too quick to anger is a sign that the liver's not happy. And I feel this in myself, Dr. Kalli. I have this happen to me when I am like snapping at my family just like a little bit too fast, or I'm just reacting to things and it's not PMS at that time, it's just something else going on. I've had this happen, and then I start to be able to see little lines forming right here or a little breakout. And then I just go back and pick up my trusty bottle of Purity, which really helps support and clean out my liver. And within a couple days, I'm like, hey fam, how you guys doing?
I I am a human being again.
Aren't you glad to know you don't live with a demon? It's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say a lot of skin health concerns. In Chinese
Absolutely.
medicine, skin health is a liver health problem. So, liver is your biggest filtering organ, right? So, it's not surprising that the liver is connected in a very
Mhm.
roundabout way
Yep.
to a lot of this other stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, yes, when you have somebody who's breaking out regularly and maybe struggling with acne, anything specifically here and throughout the face, our body is attempting to push those waste products out. And if the liver is really backed up, the bowel is not regular and it's backed up, then the easiest channel, the path of least resistance, becomes sweat and our skin. And so we have all this garbage coming out through our skin causing breakouts. So if somebody watching has like a teenager or a 20 something in their life who's really struggling with a lot of breakouts, this can be such a godsend for people. And then as we get older, we want to be taking good care of our skin and have a glow and help prevent wrinkling. And I promise you, I have not had Botox injections. I was having a little line that I could feel with my fingernail. And since I've been taking my Purity more regularly, it's smooth. So that's my personal testimonial with Purity.
It's good info. And I don't, like a lot of people, I think we forget liver health and
Yeah.
that it does pertain to whole body health. And, not only are we stressed from like emotional things or financial things or life things, but we're also stressing our body with our food and lifestyle stuff, right? Like if you're not hydrating, you're doing your body a huge, huge, huge disservice. You need tons of water to flush toxins out of your body. Plus, you just need water to function regularly in and of itself. And I think people, like I've even met, even my own patient base is like, I just think drinking more water is just too simple. That can't be part. And I'm like, until you drink more water, it is absolutely part of the problem.
Yes.
Right? Like you're just concentrating all the toxins and inflammation in your system that way. You're making it harder on your liver and other organs to do their job. And then like, what if that's all you need? Is just a little support, extra water, and then like your body is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And it's like, oh.
There is a website where people challenge each other to drink more water, like a healthy amount of water for 30 days. And the testimonials that people write in, they're just like, I can't believe it was that simple. Just like you said, I can't believe that this dumb thing was the answer.
Seems too easy. So people are like, they shove it off. And I'm like, no, 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 no. This is one of like the bases of like just how our body is physically made up. We just need to get it in.
Why we die if we don't get it. That's how critical it is.
The coffee that you're drinking that is made with water does not count, right? And a lot of people I see, and this is part of the problem, they are getting in tea or coffee or other things with caffeine, and I'm like, okay, you're in the negative.
Yeah,
You're flushing out everything.
Yeah. Yep.
So a lot of people assume because it's fluid, it's water going in, and I'm like, oh no.
Now you're in the negative, you need even more water. Yeah. And so people don't think about it. And what's funny is we have apps and we have smart homes that tell us it's time to change the furnace filter. Every 3 months, it's time to change the furnace filter. And that's really important. And there are a lot of people watching this right now who don't forget and don't delay with changing their furnace filter. And when is the last time you helped out your body's filter by supporting and cleaning your liver? So this is something at least once a year. It's really smart to do. Spring cleaning, great time to do it. But there are people who are more regularly exposed to things like if you've remodeled your house and repainted and had new furniture, especially new furniture made with MDF or particle board. Oh my gosh, please, please, please take this. If you are around a lot of plastics, if you love makeup and perfume with the synthetic fragrances, if you have been burning candles with artificial fragrances and lead wicks, if you're just exposed to a lot of things, breathing in the pollution when you sit at on Mannheim or whatever, so you can clean it out with Purity. And so besides the skin feelings that you will, or the skin changes that you'll see, and the overall healthier feelings that you'll have, you might even have mood changes and be less irritable with the people you are quarantining with if you take care of your liver.
Well, thank you for bringing liver into the talk because again, there's a lot of roundabout ways to address a lot of different things, and I think like this is just going back to something like basic stuff, right? Just like basic support for our body. Like you said, this is stuff we should be doing at least once a year, right? And it does go back to like, do you change your coffee filter? Do you change your pool filter?
Yes.
We're not any less exposed. We are probably more exposed because we have water and air and food stuff, let alone environmental things. So like this is stuff we should be looking at more and more because there are so many more chemicals we are, coming into contact with these days. And again, a lot of us are stuck at home.
Right.
A lot of us are breathing in a lot of bleach right now, right? Like there's,
Absolutely. Oh
there's,
yeah, I'm using cleaners I wouldn't usually clean with, right? Absolutely.
it is time to support our body in a different way, right? Just to be, because there's a time and place for that stuff, by all means. And now's the time and place, but like,
That was the time and place.
right, like it is what it is, but like there are other things that we can be doing to support our body getting rid of those things that we don't want to be exposed to.
No,
But they're a necessary thing right now.
it's absolutely true. My boss, when we traveled to the island of Grenada, where we did some clinical research studies and have done some recording, you have to use DEET in your bug spray down there because they have Zika virus. You have to use it. The lemongrass oil, the mosquitoes down there will laugh at that. So we just really took our purity, afterwards to cleanse all those chemicals out of our bodies. So
Absolutely. And there is a time and place for that stuff, by all
mhm.
means, but that's why there's other things to support the body and getting rid of those chemicals, right? Like
That's
there's a way to help support if you have to be, inundated.
right, right. This has been so fun. It's so great to talk with you about this stuff. This is one of my favorite categories. These are truly my very two favorite baby products. I love them so much. And so I'm excited for you to try anxiety again.
You know what? I think I do have like a trial size bottle at home.
Excellent.
So I
Excellent. So
probably will be trying it because I know I have been taking my adrenal support stuff otherwise, just because life is crazy right now, and it is what it is. And I gotta, and as long as I'm supporting myself, I feel pretty good.
yeah,
So awesome. I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
my pleasure. Thank you for having
Special fruitful minutes. We look forward to seeing everybody again, and hopefully we get to talk to you again, Sarah.
me. Let's do it. Let's make another date.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you later.
Take care.